Hello and welcome to the Sports Box, guys. And we are back again after a bit of technical issues. So stepping right into the topic, we are here to discuss the Sari saga. I know many people have called him Sari or not Sari, uh, the Kepa or not Kepa as we have named him. And I have Prithvi with me. Who's going to give us a Chelsea fans outlook. He's going to give a insight into how and what is going on at the club currently. So we'll be discussing a lot about it, and also obviously be also capturing a few points on the FPL deadline of game week 28. City are back in action. Chelsea are back in action after the Carabao Cup on Sunday, and there are what 3-4 hours remaining, I think, on the deadline. So let's get started, Prithvi. Firstly, first of a kind. Uh, Occurrence, if you can call it. Like, I mean, I know I've heard it's happened with Messi and Ronaldo as well. But what did you make of it as a fan yourself?
I really don't know what to think because there was absolute chaos on the field and I think I don't think goalkeepers are used to being subbed off too often. So that is one point which probably I think in his career he's just 24 right now. I don't think there have been a lot of matches where he's been subbed off, but it was hilarious, man. I mean, apart from the fact that as a Chelsea fan, I was really annoyed and I was really angry. It was hilarious. I don't know what was happening. I mean, Kepa Sari, has asked Willy Caballero to get ready, and he's getting ready, and he's doing his warm up. He's all kitted up, booted, and he's about to come on, and then this guy's saying no. He's like, he's just waving his hand like he's the final authority on whatever goes on in the club. I mean, he thought for a second that he was Roman Abramovich, and it was absolutely. I mean, I really didn't know what was going on because it was really strange, man. I think that it should have been handled better, and then Sari really got pissed and he was about to leave. The guys even opened the door for the dressing room, and then I don't know what struck him. He decided to come back, and I don't know. It was a comedy of errors. Zola for once I thought I saw him being angry. And the point is, Kepa did take a very brave call by, yeah, telling the manager that he wants to play. But when you take such a brave call, you should back it up with, a performance like that. Had he won as a penalty shooter, no one would have been talking about this all that much, because the guy stepped up for himself and he said that I'm going to play, in spite of the fact that he had a couple of cramps. But now the entire narrative is that why should first of all, he did go against the manager and the coaching staff, which was obviously unacceptable. And I think it's typical of Chelsea that the players generally roll over the manager, and the manager doesn't have the kind of authority he has at other clubs. Say any big Premier League club. I don't think it would happen at any other club, or there may be a few set of clubs where the players have been more powerful. And I'm pretty sure that I was also shocked that even I know a lot of people were saying that the captain should have come in and done something, or should have asked him to leave, or whatever was happening. But I don't think those guys have been in such a bizarre situation that they would know how to deal with it. There are situations where someone gets sent off, someone does something crazy on the field, and the captain knows how to tackle such a situation. But I think that this was a situation which was absolutely ridiculous. And funny thing is that I tried subbing Kepa in my FPL team, and he refused to come on into my team on FPL as well. So there are a lot of other things which a lot of memes, a lot of jokes going on.
Memes going around there.
I, he's he's
Yeah.
he's done.
Also, please continue.
Yeah, please continue.
Also, when you brought the point of Aspilicueta or Luis actually was discussing something while the whole scenario was going around, was going on actually. And I mean, Luis has been part of PSG and uh, Chelsea, and both are seemingly very heavily driven. And in fact, a lot of the new clubs are now Arsenal and United facing the same problems of players way too powerful coach. So as much as it was hilarious, embarrassingly hilarious, and a lot of ex-coaches, ex-pros have come out and said, have wanted Kepa to be kept out of the team. What kind of what do you think was there an opportunity for Luis Azpilicueta or the likes Rudiger or Mata to actually go and press their point and say that this is what wants you and this is what you should be doing.
Yeah, I think I really didn't get too much of the question. Your voice is breaking up again. So what I would like to add to that is that there was a lack of leadership, because John Terry himself said that had he been a part of that Chelsea team, he would have dragged him off the field, or had he been a Chelsea manager, he would have dragged him off the field, because that is how much, a lot of things were said when he was a captain, that he was controlling the dressing room and all that. But even in the during Antonio Conte's tenure, when he wasn't first choice, I remember he was very civil, and he was very, he used to comply with whatever was asked of him, even in during Antonio Conte's tenure when he. Yeah, so I think it is very important that uh, yeah, it's very important that you have a strong leader. But I think that this situation is so bizarre that no one really got time. And plus, the match itself was a very high intensity game. It was a cup final, for Christ's sake. And the funniest part was Rudiger was actually the one who stopped Sari from taking a probably even punching the legs of Kepa, because he was that angry at that point of time. And
Yeah,
Rudiger actually stood like a wall, stopping him from getting to Kepa, because that could have led to a lot of damage. But it was hilarious, man. I feel sad as a fan, but if you actually look at the incident, I think this is something which will probably never happen again in football for a long, long time. I understand an outfield player or someone of that sort doing something like this, but a goalkeeper, before a penalty shootout doing something as bizarre as this is absolutely ridiculous.
true.
I really don't know what to do. I think that Chelsea should. The point is that Chelsea have also been imposed with a transfer ban, so I'm not even sure they'll be able to buy a replacement if they had to sell it off. That's the scene.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
in
also what people are saying, that that's actually they might actually want to do a manager ban as well, so that Kepa doesn't change the position and becomes the manager himself. So, uh, yeah, I think a lot of good points that you're raising. Even the likes of Terry and all, it sounds easy right now to say that he would have walked him off, or they would have stopped the game, or as a manager he would have walked. But the intensity of the game and everything was so high and so important at that time, and perhaps there was a tremendous amount of miscommunication. Let's focus on the positives as well. I think um, top unexpectedly very good performance. I think the best chance Pedro Kante fell to Chelsea. There was a space of 2020. There was a period of 20 minutes where uh, Chelsea Hazard was absolutely gunning the defense down, and even Pedro had a very good game. Kante has a terrific game. He just proved why he's one of the best, not perhaps the third best DM in the world, somewhere close to Sergio Busquets' level, and. Uh, uh, so as unexpected as well, and as up and down as had, uh, do you see that continuing? Do you see, firstly, weren't you pleasantly surprised? And do you see that continuing now that Sari has now sort of got in control?
I don't think he ever lost control of the dressing room. It's just that I think these players are too stupid to actually understand the instructions, because I don't see them pressing with intensity. I don't see them winning the ball back in time. The entire system is based on the fact that you win the ball back easily, and then you can go and play those 1-2 passes and actually get a goal. And obviously the passing is there, but it seems like they are not very good in the defensive phase of the game. They are like what Arsenal were in that period, wherein they weren't doing very well without the ball. So with the ball, they may be decent, but when they don't have the ball, I don't see the intensity to actually go on and press the other players and to do anything of that sort. So I think there are a lot of issues, and I don't think this set of players is the most disciplined to actually carry out such complex set of instructions, because it's not easy. It looks effortless when it's happening. When Napoli used to play last season and the season before that, whenever Sarri was in charge, it used to seem very effortless. But there is a lot of there are a lot of complexities which go into the system. It's not like a normal pressing. The central midfielders are the ones who act as the first line of press, then the wingers, and then the wingers and the strikers actually take charge. So it's a very complex system, and I think that a lot of the players who've been who are very comfortable at the club, have good contracts, highly paid guys, like a Marcus Alonso. He can't, even he can. He was primarily the reason why we lost 6-0, because a lot of people keep blaming Jorginho, keep blaming Kante, but the point is that the player who's at fault is Marcus Alonso, and rightfully so. He was not a part of the team. I think Sarri made very good substitutions. I think getting in Ruben Loftus-Cheek and that turn, man, it was all over Twitter. He actually received the ball from Kepa and got past a defender with a touch and played a ball through to Eden Hazard, which was very close call for offside. So I think he made the right calls. He got Callum Hudson-Odoi on the field. Then I think having Emerson start was a very good call as well. Then he later on in the game, the game went to extra time, he also got in Higuain. So I think that Sarri did everything right he could have. I think the players let him down, and I think that such incidents, if they happen, rightfully, he's been banned for a week now. No, he's been fined a week's wages, which I think is still pretty low considering the heinous crime that he's committed. But I think at least there is some action that has been taken. And Sari himself said in his press conference today, I was keeping a close eye on that he's not sure whether he's going to play Kepa for the Tottenham game or not, which is again, considering the fact that he has, which he said that I've sorted things out with Kepa, but he's still not confident that he should immediately play Kepa in the game, because I think that such mistakes should have consequences, and he should, the fact that he wasn't able to wasn't coming off the field, I think he should be kept on the bench for a game just to make him understand. It is. I know it's a very big game, but I think that you have to do something about it. And my heart goes out to Billy, because the guy, I mean, he
That
was
is
put in
almost
a very bad.
inconsolable, yeah, at a point of time, yeah.
He didn't know what to do. And most of the players, even during the extra time, they actually went up to him and spoke to him. And I think
Uh,
Kepa has apologized to everyone, but I think he owes a very big apology to Vinny Caballero, because he's no novice. He's been doing this for a while now. He won Manchester City the 2016 penalty shootout. I
yes,
still
yeah.
remember he made some amazing saves, and I think he's got a very, even if it wasn't for the injury, I think Willie would have been a much better option for penalties, because I think he is one of the world's best penalty stoppers. I think he's a very average or probably a below average keeper otherwise. But when it comes to penalties, I think he's got a phenomenal record. And I think I don't know, man. All you can do is have a laugh after that, because we lost. We were actually this close to winning a trophy. David Luiz absolutely hit the post with his penalty, and Jorginho was really stupid in repeating the same thing over and over again, because um, obviously when he took the first penalty, everyone was doing their research, and he has this habit when he tries to take a feint a kick during his run up, and then actually take the actual penalty. But the point is, when you do that, obviously it does catch the keeper off guard. But the point is, your kick has to have some part in it, and it was like, he was almost trying to pass the ball into the net, which was terrible. But one thing that really stood out for me was the fact that the kind of I when Eden Hazard came in to take that penalty, and he if had he missed that penalty, Chelsea would have gone out directly after that kick, and he would have taken all the blame, and he would have taken all the attention from Kepa. But I don't know, he had nerves of steel to actually take that audacious attempt, and I think that he is on top of the world, man. He doesn't care who you are. He's not one of those people who has a major ego. He just wants to enjoy his football, and it's a delight to watch him play. Man, he was the way he. I think he
Best
absolutely.
player for Chelsea on the day. I think him and Kante were like miles ahead of the rest. And they absolutely, and there, as I said, there, I think there was a 15-20 minute period where Chelsea were dominating, and very rarely does Man City gets dominated the way Hazard and Kante were at the point of time.
They couldn't deal with Hazard. Hazard was absolutely he humiliated Company. I don't think Company has been humiliated as much in that game. He was going past him like it was probably it was Martin Demichelis. What comes to my mind, he obviously Company has aged and he has grown
Mm.
a little old. But the point is, he this was the same guy who helped. Man City defeat Liverpool. He got him in the team and he put Laporte in left back, and that was the probable game changer in the game. So
Mhm.
I think that Hazard was absolutely at his best. It was a shame that Kante couldn't put that ball in the back of the net because he did put a lot of weight into the cross, which was a little difficult to control. And but I think that you can't. I think you can't blame them for the performance. Apart from that, Kepa horrendous. The stupidity. I don't know what to call it, man. It was.
So
Uh,
I think, Prithvi, the good part is if you remove that entirely from the situation, if you sort of take only the footballing aspect of it, I think this was Chelsea, one of the best games Chelsea have played throughout the season. And uh, as a fan, or as even as an observer, or as someone who's following football for quite a few years, you would want teams like Man City to be properly competed on the pitch with, and especially in a Carabao Cup final or any cup final that you're playing against. And that is what Chelsea did. To everyone's surprise, to Chelsea fans' surprise as well. And that I think is a commendable effort to Sarri. And hence I would like to bring it up to you now again. That do you think, or perhaps to you, Sari's future was never in question. But do you think now Sari has found out his 13, 15, like the first 11 to first 14 players who he completely trusts, and now he's decided that, albeit one game, but there are turning points, and these days the turning points happen very frequently. So, for so do you think he's found that now? He's found a bit of rhythm with the squad.
I don't know, man. I think that the squad is so unreliable. They can win a title one season and then they can let you down in the other one and finish 10th. So I think the core players have remained the same, and I think the likes of Villar and the likes of Pedro, those guys are still in the team. Then there is obviously the midfield is pretty new, so I think those guys are still adjusting. Jorginho is still adjusting to the pace of the Premier League, and obviously Emerson is a welcome addition because I think Marcus Alonso was pretty poor last season for the last 2.5 months, and he was rightfully replaced. And I don't know, man. I don't know if it's the right team. I don't know if it's the right segment. I'm not going to predict anything with respect to Chelsea because Chelsea have definitely been really inconsistent, and I obviously thought that we are going to get rolled over by Man City, but they managed to put in such a fight that it made me think that. Mm, we actually have a chance to finish in the top four again, but that that should only hold true for a couple of games because I know that Chelsea are going to screw up in a game against probably a very weakened team like a Huddersfield or some. No, probably we played Huddersfield twice, so we are going to screw up against a Leicester or a team like that. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But what I can really, one thing that I can be sure of is the fact that, uh, you know, till the end of the season, Chelsea really need to pull their socks up, or else, I don't think the manager will be the only one who's going to get the sack. I'm pretty sure there are a few players that are going to, lose contracts, get additional contracts. So yeah, we have Anish Bhalerao here. He's asked us a question. No, he's actually given his feelings. Gotta feel bad for Sari. Even I'm such an admirer and so respectful towards Sari, but even if it was Conte. What Kepa did is unforgivable, and I'm appalled and surprised that he's not been released from his contract. I don't think that Chelsea are in a position to release him from his contract because, first of all, he signed a 7-year contract, and the second thing is that Chelsea may be imposed with a transfer ban next season. So you can't take such rash decisions on the basis of one game. And I think Sari has sorted things out with Kepa, which is the right thing to do, because you can either have an ego hassle and do something of that sort with your player, or like sort of Mourinho did with Pogba, or you can try to mend ways and make sure that he apologizes and the manager has retains control of the dressing room. So Kepa has apologized. He's issued a public apology. He's issued an apology in person. So I think that's fair enough, man. I think that's something which, that it's had we been in a position where we could have sold him off and bought another keeper, we would have done that. But I don't think it's right and it is sensible to do something like that on one incident. I think we all make mistakes. He's made a massive one, but I think he should be given another chance. But Anish is making another point that it doesn't matter, the length of the contract doesn't matter. It's about the ego. It isn't about the ego battle either. But the point is that it does matter in modern football, or else, Pogba wouldn't have been a Man United player, and Mourinho would have been the manager who is still at the club. But that is how the modern footballer is. They decide who they want to play for. They decide who they don't want to play for. So yeah, makes sense.
Also, I think the point, what people are sort of infuriated on it, because of the you sort of build, and because you give them these long contracts, like the likes of Pogba's and Kepa's, are now not only just players, they are marketing um, entities in themselves, and that makes a financial call to be taken on them way too difficult. And hence, I think ideologies of the Emerys and the Saris of the world should be given a lot more leeway to say, okay, this is what I meant, and should be put into
I think Puneet, are having terrible reception. You're breaking up again. So I got your question. I got your question that the likes of the Emery and Sari should be, given more time. But the point is that that's not how modern football that's not how modern football works. Modern football doesn't work like the way it used to do in the olden days, wherein if a manager has an issue with a player, he gets released from the club. That's not how things work. Had it been the case, probably even 5-7 years back, probably it would have been, they would have taken stricter action. But the point is, it doesn't happen in the modern game, and a lot of rival fans are going to say that we would have done that. But everyone knows deep inside, if you paid 70 million for a keeper and you want to have him for, you bought him in for the long term. If it would have been with your club, or anyone else's club, for a rival club, they won't do the same. Say if Allison was to do something like that, or say a De Gea would do something like that, they would still want him to sign a contract, because they understand the fact that in the modern market you can't just keep on spending money for anything. And when you spend so much in a keeper, and to be very honest, it's like his first mistake, and I think he's conducted himself very well. Apart from that particular game, he's been very calm, and he's never been one of those aggressive or highly volatile. He's not a Paulo Di Canio, or probably no, he's not Diego Costa, for that matter. There were so many coaches who were there were coaches who were protecting Diego Costa. There were coaches who were protecting Luis Suarez. So those are the kind of players who are still a part of the club in spite of messing up on so many occasions. And this is the thing that it is obviously unacceptable. But then you also have to look at the reality, and then you have to take a decision as per that.
Yeah, very valid point. I think the best case scenario here would be to sort of not play him for like 2 3 game weeks. Sari takes a call. He decides on the punishment. I think the current punishment is not taking his wages off for a week, and then after 4 5 game weeks where he's sort of realized or at least been given a chance to prove himself again, then take a longer call.
Yeah, I think a similar incident happened with Carlos Tevez where he refused to come onto the pitch. He
Correct.
was,
Yeah.
he
Against City.
was
Yeah.
asked to play with
Sorry,
the
with City.
reserve. And then, when Mancini actually needed to win the title, he asked him to apologize publicly, and he got him
Mm.
back in the team. There weren't a lot of questions that were raised then, because people weren't talking about that incident in the same, because obviously the advent of social media, and obviously it was there even back then, but today it's even more. So he what he did was exactly in similar lines. He went against his manager and he refused to come on to the pitch. This guy at least refused to come off the pitch. I mean, he was at least that committed that he wanted to be on the pitch in spite of being injured, not defending the fact. But the point is, similar incidents do happen in football, and then you move on. Man, Carlos Tevez is considered a Man City legend. He was instrumental in Man City winning their first title in I don't know how many years. So I think incidents like these are going to happen in the modern game, because that is what football has become now, and the players are way too powerful, and that is something which is obviously going to act on. I mean, similar. I'm not saying the same incident is going to happen again, but similar incidents are going to take place.
Do we have more questions, or should can we move on to the FPL bit?
Yeah, there are a couple of questions. I mean, there are not a lot of questions. There are most of
Comments,
a
yeah,
lot
sure.
of statements. If David De Gea were to do this, I'd be the first one to be David De Gea out. But again, the point is, you're not the one who's taking a decision. If I had an option and I would look at it very emotionally, I would want Kepa to be out today and released from his contract. But that is not how you can actually react when you're running a business, because at the end of it, it's not only a sport, it's also a business, and the people at the in the hierarchy have to take action, considering the fact that it is going to have a lot of financial implication, and the current Chelsea situation is pretty
Weak.
pretty
Yeah.
precarious, considering that we may have a transfer ban. So I think that's about it from Kepa. And yeah, I think he said something on Pogba also. He wasn't as stupid as Kepa, but I again, Pogba didn't make a very big mistakes, but he made a lot of small mistakes. At the end of it, the point being is the point that is very evident is the fact that the players are much more powerful than the managers in most clubs at this point of time, and they decide who's going to stay at the club and who's not going to stay at the club. So it's irrelevant getting into the debate and trying to get those old days back. So I think those old days back, I think those days are far behind us, I think. Yeah, so what we're also going to talk about, for like the next 5 minutes is the FPL option, because a lot of you guys also follow FPL pretty regularly. So I think it's one of those game weeks wherein Manchester City, Everton, Chelsea, and Manchester City, Everton, and Chelsea blanked the last game week, and obviously they're coming back into this game week. And the deal is that there were a lot of players like Aguero, Sterling, who didn't play any part in the last game. And the biggest game this season is this game week is Chelsea versus Tottenham, and a lot of people will probably have the likes of Son, the likes of Hazard. So I think they're not very good captain options in my opinion, but I do think that they can, be a part of your team, and it'll be stupid to bench them, because it's very much possible that both the teams, both Chelsea and Tottenham actually score in the game. Yeah, Puneet. So I was talking about the FPL.
Yeah,
Uh,
I got the point. I think one point that we should discuss is captaincy options other than Aubameyang and Salah this week, because a lot of these I'm sure more than 50% of the um, FPL playing audiences, playing players are going to keep Salah, and I won't be surprised if 70% make it with Aubameyang. So, do you think Son is an option with the Chelsea, or do you think Hazard is an option? Do you think
I think.
Mane is an option? Mane's stats are very good, by the way,
I
and
think.
especially better than Son.
I think apart from all these three people, I would rather pick Aguero because Jesus is still not hundred
But he's
percent
played
fit.
120 minutes. That's
He's
everyone's. That's
not
what's everyone's on the mind.
not Jesus is not 100% fit.
Okay.
So I just read Pep said in his press conference, so he's not really there. So I think
Okay.
you can expect 60 to 70 minutes from Aguero,
Hmm.
and I think that is more than sufficient for him to actually get a brace and give us a good haul. And obviously, Aubameyang is one. Lacazette is another option that people are not
Lacazette is
talking
in there.
about.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think he had a lot of chances in the last game. He was very poor. He could have had like a hat trick,
Hat trick
but
himself. Yeah.
he was pretty wasteful, and he was lucky to actually get that goal because Iwobi was suffering. He was going to be subbed off, but then Iwobi was feeling something, and he picked up a knock. So Emery actually subbed him out instead of Lacazette, and
Mm-hmm.
and later he went on to score that goal. So I think that he was pretty lucky. But I think that obviously now considering the fact that both Aubameyang and Lacazette will be fit, I am not sure with Mkhitaryan coming in, will Lacazette start again, because now that they have Mkhitaryan again, and Mkhitaryan was very very good in the last game. He put in an assist as well as scored a goal. So I think it does change the dynamic a little bit, and we really don't know what's going to happen there. But
Is Sane a better option this week than Sterling? Because I think Sterling might not start, and with the kind of wingers Pep already has, I think he has Mahrez, he has Sterling, Bernardo Silva. I won't be surprised if Sane starts this game week, and if he starts, he's the freshest amongst the top three City scorers. And with no Laporte, no Fernandinho, I don't expect a clean sheet, but I definitely expect a couple of goals.
no, you're right, and I think that it is very important that we don't really. I don't think Sanya is a very good option because I don't think he's going to start in week out from now, because
Yeah.
Pep has decided that his first 11 will be Bernardo Silva on the right hand side, Sterling on the left hand side, Aguero playing up front with the likes of either KDB or David Silva, Gundogan and Fernandinho. Now Fernandinho is injured again, so I think
Hmm.
that would sort of be a big, because that would be a big stopping point from me getting a City asset this week, because as much as I want to get Aguero in, I'm a little confused because I think that if we actually get in one of those people, and we've seen how City fared without Fernandinho during
Yeah.
the
The
Christmas
two
break.
losses they had. Yeah.
Exactly. So I am again a little skeptical there as well. But let's see what happens. I don't know.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts? I mean, who are you planning to captain?
So I just was thinking through my captaincy options, and because I just want to be a little different this time, because I don't think so. Salah will. He's played a lot and he was subbed early. I have a hunch Mane will outscore Salah this week, and everyone's going to pick Salah as a main captain. I still think Lacazette is a long-term better option in terms of Aubameyang because of the price only. Um, Another sort of a shot, like a shot up the armor, could be Jimenez, who's playing against Huddersfield, and Wolves have a very good record. And if they end up scoring two, he could easily have a goal and an assist, and this could be a massive differential in a game week where people are going to captain Salah and Aubameyang. By the way, Van Bissaka and Rashford are injured, and people must be scattering now to uh, think of the kind of players that can actually be replaced, or who would be replacing them. So I think an ideal Van Bissaka replacement could be Kolasinac, I think, who's been doing terrifically well for Arsenal, and he has a game or two in hand. And for Rashford, I think Rondon and Barnes. Barnes has some stunning numbers, and I was pleasantly amazed to see that he's second in terms of the number of shots taken from the penalty area, and only behind Aguero. And Aguero has scored a hat trick in all that time. And Burnley's season has just started playing really well, and they have sort of come back again, and they look a real threat going forward. Him and Wood have developed a very good partnership, and it seems that they are here to stay again. And if they sort of perform well again, Barnes is definitely a very good option as a Rashford replacement. So in terms of Rondon and Barnes, I will go for Barnes. Albeit his fixtures are a little difficult because if you have to pick someone from Newcastle, I think is their defense in terms of Shah or Lascelles. But Barnes from Rondon and Barnes, and in terms of AWB replacement, I think Kolasinac is a definitely great option.
Yeah, I think both Rondon and Barnes would be a very good option because they also play in game week 31. So they could be
Correct.
those assets which you will actually be bringing in for the long run, at least for the next 4 game weeks. And you can keep them
Mm-hmm.
till you actually play one of your chips. You play either a free hit or you play something that's or Newcastle have a very good run of fixtures. I'll be tempted to get one of their assets, especially in defense, if I want to get rid of Van Bissaka. But then
Mm.
again, it gets a little complicated considering the fact that who do you actually go for this game week? Leicester again have a good run of fixtures.
Managerless, yeah.
Managerial change. Brendan
Mm.
Rodgers, I'm hearing, is the favorite to land up
Favorite, yeah.
a job. I
Mm-hmm.
think it could be the resurgence of a lot of Leicester assets, considering the fact they have Harry Maguire and Pereira in defense who are already doing pretty decent. They have Madison, Harvey Barnes, and they also have the likes of Jamie Vardy who could have a mini resurgence. So I think that there are a lot of options, and I just have 2 transfers. I would want to make 7, but I really can't do that. So let's just assess this game week. Let's see what happens because I feel is a very funny game. The last game week average was, I think, the lowest this week in this season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just
Yeah,
try
I think a
to.
good option for people who are looking for City assets, especially with Sterling and Aguero's minutes kind of unconfirmed yet, and you don't know whether they'll play the full 90. I think is to wait this week because see, it's West Ham, it's Pellegrini, and this is what my hunch is saying. It's Pellegrini. He'll like to have a point to prove. It's not going to be an easy cakewalk game of 3-0, 4-0 is how I'm seeing. They might actually win a 2-1 or perhaps 3-1, 3-2, but I don't think so. It's going to be a cakewalk. By the way, West Ham have very good fixtures post the City game. So Arnautovic and Anderson to eyes to
Mhm.
keep on the
Even
next game.
Fabianski for that matter.
But yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now I'm looking for a goalkeeper because Patricio has been pretty terrible, but I'm going to give him the game against Huddersfield because I don't really expect Huddersfield to score against anyone, but they're absolutely in shambles this season, and I think getting rid of the manager was also a very wrong call.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. Let's just assess this game week because I'm not going to predict too much for this game week because it's going to be one of those, there are a lot of clubs who've just played over the weekend and they're coming back in action again. A lot of time, there's a lot of fatigue. There's a little bit of rotation as well in these. I think midweek games. So
Hmm.
let's just hold our horses. And my advice would be not to make a lot of transfers. And if you want to make transfers, I would rather want to get in the likes of Burnley assets, Leicester assets, and
Newcastle defense.
Newcastle, yeah, Newcastle defense or Rondon for that matter,
Yeah.
so that I can, even if he doesn't work this week, I have the next 3 game weeks to reap some kind of
Yeah.
return from him,
Yeah.
rather than getting in a Arsenal player who'll have an easy game this week, but then they have back-to-back games against. I think they play Tottenham and they play.
Chelsea, right? Or
No,
United.
they play Chelsea. They play. I think Man United. Arsenal play Man United. All
And
I
also,
don't
I
know.
think
I really forgot. I was just looking at the fixtures, and they had that's what's stopping me from getting in Aubameyang as well, because obviously he can definitely, not that he can't score against the big teams, but the point is that he may get a couple of goals against Bournemouth, but as soon as the Bournemouth game is over, he has to face Spurs and Man United
correct
back to
Spurs,
back,
man. Yeah, yeah.
and then he blanks. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like 3 game weeks, and the
tough
best time to
fixtures.
actually get him in would be from game week 32 because
Mm,
they have one of the best run of fixtures going into the end of the season.
correct.
They actually face no big team in those games, and they will have a double game week as well. So I think
Mm,
a lot of positives for. I mean, I would be holding my horses on my Arsenal assets till game week 32, and I would really want to jump in on the Aubameyang bandwagon once that happens. Also another punt which I would suggest. I mean, I would not really suggest, but if you want to take that risk, I think Higuain could be a very good option because Higuain is playing in the blank game week, and not a lot of players own him at this point of time. He's scored 2 goals in 3 matches, and in the Premier League, and yeah, I think that Chelsea are going to score against Tottenham, and he did score the winner against Tottenham, which knocked them out of the Champions League last season, which was like a delight to watch. So I think Higuain could be like that odd differential which no one's going to go for, but he scored against the biggest of teams in world football, so he can score against Tottenham, and uh, I think Chelsea are going to have a good run of few games. That's what I believe and I hope. But obviously, Chelsea being Chelsea could really disappoint me again. But yeah, I think that Chelsea are going to have a good run of 4 games after what has happened. I think they're going to come out. Chelsea tend to really come out stronger when there is a crisis, and hopefully that pans out. Or the other way could be there would be a steep fall where they actually end up getting out of out of contention for the top 4 in the next 4 games only. So it could go either way. So I would hope that it goes the right way, but you never know with Chelsea. So yeah, Higuain could be another punt that no one's looking at, and Wadi again could be a player that I would want to get in the near future at least, if not in this
Yeah,
game.
especially if a managerial change happens, then it becomes a very
Yeah,
big part.
people will be
Important
scouting.
point to note also is to the fact, and very quickly we'll just wrap this up now. Game week 32 has Man City and Man United double fixtures, and Rashford might not play this week, but he'll get fit. So if you're thinking of removing him, you might have to actually get him back at a higher price. I'm sure everyone has kept him for his price rise, so that's something that people will have to take note of.
No,
Pogba
actually,
definitely,
he dropped his price already. Rashford
sorry.
dropped his price already.
Yesterday, yeah, I know, but people must have kept him for 3 4 weeks, man. So it's still something that you haven't lost his value yet. So I still believe you might have to get him back after this weekend because 32 is a very good game week for Man United and even Man City, and that's why whichever City player you're thinking of getting, he has to play most of the matches, and that's why
No,
Aguero and Sterling are gold.
the thing that puts me off about Rashford is the fact that they have Crystal Palace, obviously, which he's not going to play. Then they have
Correct,
Southampton, then they have Arsenal, and then they blank. I think
correct.
again he would be a player I would want to get in Aubameyang and Rashford are 2 players I would want to get in game week 32 because even Man United, but yeah, even Man United really don't have
That's
that.
in case you're not playing a free hit at that week.
Yeah, exactly. That also depends. Yeah, if I'm playing a free hit, I would definitely want to get him in
31
because
is something now. It's become a bit of a dead end, as I say. Everyone's just planning for 31, and then since the options are so varied right now, everyone, and all of them must be keeping their eyes open as to how 31 pans out, 32, 33, and 33 is again a semi-blank game week. So yeah,
no,
lots to look forward to.
I think 31 is a game week wherein there's a lot of scope because there are a lot of small teams that are playing, but there are a lot of
Correct.
teams which have a very good run of fixtures. Like Leicester has an amazing run of fixtures after this.
Oh, in fact, till
Uh,
35, they have the best fixtures. But the worry with Leicester is who do you select? Madison and Vardy look the most prominent. Pereira, Chilwell, but they just seem to disappoint more often than not.
I think
Pereira, I think, is the highest
Harvey
scorer.
could be
Yeah,
could
it's a
be
good point. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
because he was really good in the championship, and that is why his loan was cut short, and he was pulled back into the team. So I think that it also we would want to wait for some selection issues, but I think that a couple of players are definitely going to play a key role. Maguire, I think, could be play a key role, and obviously Pereira could play a key role because the fullbacks will sort of bomb forward as usual.
Mm,
Chilwell could be a good option, and there are a lot of things we can do with our teams, but and I think it is this game week 31 is going to break a lot of templates
correct.
because
Yeah, yeah.
everyone wants to go into people. Yeah, there will be probably most of the teams will have 2 Chelsea players, 3 Liverpool players, but apart from that, people are going to go in for a lot of different kind of players. So I think it's
Mm,
going to be a very interesting game week to look forward to.
yeah, true. Right. So then, thanks, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in again. And we've covered FPL, we've covered Kepa, with and without our technicality issues. But yeah, so hope you had a good time. And keep checking our videos out. Asking us if you would like to post or discuss some things. If you all want to get on board, if you all want to um, come on board and discuss this with us, please do let us know. And yeah, we'll see you soon again. And have a great FPL and have a great week. Thank
Good
you.
night.